Alrighty, back again with part 2 of my Raymond Feist collection. And let's get started. Okay, this one is King's Buccaneer, and it's also one of sort of a standalone, just like Prince of the Blood was. This one's a pretty good book as well. Definitely like it. It sets up the future stories or the next big series by they take a boat or a ship out, to the middle of nowhere and find a whole new land, and then all the other adventures start from there. So there's Novindus, that's the new land they find. So, ooh, and look at that. For Craig, all best wishes, Raymond E. Feist. Yeah, some of these books are signed. This one I actually met him and got him to sign it. I don't even know, 16, 17 years old, and I think I bothered him more than anything with my questions. But it still was pretty awesome to meet him. Okay, the next one we have is a pretty good book. This is Volume 1 of the Serpent War Saga. It's the follow-up to the Rift War Saga. There's about 5 different sagas all together, which have some main characters that survive all of them, and then some that don't. So, this is the second big saga, and it's a very interesting one. This book's really done well. It introduces some new good characters, and it has some of the old ones too. Alright, now Volume 2 is probably one of the worst covers I've ever seen. It looks like a romance novel, which is totally not cool. I mean, like, these guys are pretty awesome, but, I mean, seriously, whatever. But the book's decent. It's a departure from his normal stuff. It's not so much filled with a lot of action. It's more the story of this guy named Rue, and kind of his rise, and it sets up the rest of the series eventually, but it's kind of got to plug through it at times. Now this next one's awesome. This is Volume 3 of the Serpent War Saga, Rage of a Demon King. When this cover first came out, I thought it was horrible too. It's his first book with Avon, the new publishers. The old ones were Morrow. This book's really cool. I don't know, it's another way to put it. It's really well done, and definitely worth getting past Volume 2 to get to this one. Now, interesting thing about this, it's a 4-part series, but the main plot is ended in this book. So what he does is, what's he going to do with the 4th book? Well, here it is, Shards of a Broken Crown, and it says the thrilling conclusion of the Serpent War Saga, and that's not really accurate. I think this one's more the thrilling conclusion, but this one's after all the main story is done, what happens to this kingdom that's been just shattered by this giant war, and sort of how everything gets put back together. But despite not having the big exciting end, I really liked it. I thought it was really interesting and really different from fantasy style of the last book concludes, the big epic climax, and instead it's like, well, what happens after that? It's not the happy ending. What happens after that? It's pretty cool. So, all right. So after that, as far as chronology, we have Town on the Silver Hawk. This is Conclave of Shadows, Book 1. Now, obviously, it doesn't have a cover. Unfortunately, it got lost. Not by the garage this time, but just by my own stupid lack of taking care of it. Anyway, here's this giant map of everything. You can tell it's grown in detail over the years. And with each book, you get a little more exploration of the lands and cities and whatnot. Pretty neat. It's a pretty decent book, pretty good. Liked it. Volume 2 continues the story. And this is The King of Foxes, Conclave of Shadows, Book 2. And this one, you know, it's a 3-part series, but once again, the main story that you think is happening, you know, kind of wraps up here. So you think, okay, what are they going to do for the 3rd part? So what he does is the enemy, so-called, gets, you know, is exiled. And so what he did for Volume 3 is he, instead of following the main character of Talon, he makes the main character the bad guy. He's been the bad guy through the first 2 books, and it's more of his story, you know, what happens to him and how he kind of tries to deal with the loss of, you know, he was like a despot ruler, and it's losing all that power, and then having to, you know, having nothing, and trying to overcome that, and kind of redemption, and it's good. It's definitely good. It's not really part of the. It's not one of the 5 sagas, the Conclave of Shadows, but it does set up the last 3 sagas. All right, now we're back to those said sagas, and this is Book 1 of the Dark War saga, Flight of the Nighthawks. Pretty entertaining book. The covers at this point sort of start becoming a bit more generic. I mean, they're good, but, you know, nothing really distinguishes them. Like the Rift Force saga covers, really each book has the covers really capture the feel of everything. This guy's fighting could be any kind of fantasy book. The story's so good though. Now we have Into a Dark Realm, book 2. And yeah, this one was pretty cool. Definitely enjoyable. Okay, and now we're getting to the last book that I have currently. This is book 3 of the Dark Horse Saga. And Wrath of a Mad God is his name. Pretty cool name. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. This is a good book. There's a lot of stuff happens in this book. That's all I can really say about it. But it's definitely worth reading. And so that's the last one I have in my possession right now. I actually have the Demon War Saga, which is 2 parts. I have that in paperback, but I don't know where they're at. And then the one that's out now, which I've read the Demon War Saga, decent, not the greatest thing in the world, but decent. And then it sort of almost seemed like filler to get to the next one, the 5th and final saga, which the first 2 books are out right now, and I haven't read those. I've been caught up with a whole bunch of other stuff, but I definitely intend to get there and to find out what happens with all these characters that I've been reading about since the early 90s when I first picked up Magician. And yeah, so if you want to give a try to something, you know, you might not have read before, check it out. I definitely recommend picking up Magician Apprentice. Start off with the first one. I think it's the best series is that series, but it's definitely worth reading all the rest. So, all right, thank you very much, and take care. Bye.